Hi, my name is Arundhati and I'm part of Team Lyceum. Welcome to Lyceum's virtual event, Repair or Prepare, a conversation with industry experts. Today we are in conversation with Karthik Lanka. Karthik is the Associate Vice President at IntelliBot. Karthik is an expert in driving both technology-based solutions and transformational implications. We look forward to our conversation with you. I'm going to start with one of my most favorite questions. Karthik, do you want to let us know how you've come to do what you
Sure,
do?
sure. Back in the day, that was around 10 years ago, I was still with Amazon and I was working as managing the applications and infra at Amazon. And one of the things that happens there is that there's a lot of work that comes in. This is the operations team that I was working with back in the day. And one of the things that happened there was the fact that you need to do your work very quickly and very efficiently as well. So, as a part of process automations, and it was not something that was enforced upon the employees at that point of time. At that point of time, it was only the demands were very simple with respect to get your work done. That was what it was meant. But from my point of view, I wanted to get things done quickly, and I wanted to get some free time off for me so that I could do some more reading on myself. So I started writing code scripts. Luckily I had knowledge of how to write scripts and code and stuff like that, right?
Wow.
So I started to write a lot of scripts which would make my life very easy. So there was a bulk transaction that I was supposed to do. I would just quickly write a script. Instead of doing one by one manually, I would just run the script and the script will do that activity in no time. So manual activity would generally take around 40 minutes to 1 hour. I would finish that whole activity in 3 to 4 minutes. And
Wow.
that's it. So that gave me a lot of interest with respect to what automations is. It has always been as a part of my DNA.
Mhm.
And going for further, I did my masters with. I'm an alumni of IIM, and
Nice,
after
yeah.
that, I moved to IntelliBot, which is primarily into automations. That's robotic process automations. Maybe we can delve into that later.
Yeah.
But and that intrigued me a lot with respect to the newer technologies that makes life easier for operations teams to quickly resolve their problems and their KPIs of operational KPIs that are supposed to be handled by them
Yeah.
with respect to turnaround times and quality and average handling time and so on and so forth were addressed very very easily with this new age technology that is there. And yep, that's how I came here. And uh, I'm bolstering a lot of organizations by giving them the advisory stuff with
Right.
respect to how they're supposed to happen.
Right. Sounds really interesting, actually, and I'm curious now to understand. You mentioned process automation, and you've mentioned both the word robotic process also. So, can you, for the benefit of our viewers, explain the difference between the two?
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
difference lies in the exact words that they are. Like you have a
Okay.
process and you need to automate. That's the main goal for both of the two technologies, the both of the two streams that you're talking about. This is not technology per se, but two streams.
Yeah.
When I talk about process automation, is essentially how you can quickly extract information from one application and then push that information into the downstream application that is there. Right? Maybe in a bulk format, or maybe if one by one that is as well. But essentially, what you need to do is you need to figure out as to, okay, there are two applications that are there, and you need to interact between those two applications either
Right.
via script or through some APIs or some SOAP services that are there. So that's how you're doing your process automation activity. It is easy for applications to be a part of the process automation when these applications are new age applications which have the capability of giving some sort of information out or some way of interacting with them. But that's not always true with all the kinds of applications that you see in the market right now, from the legacy applications. Suppose you look at the banking sector, right? That's one of the most mature sectors when it comes to RPA,
Okay.
right? And from a banking sector, most of the applications that the users or the organizations are using are legacy in nature. So either it's a thick thick client applications like mainframes, which has got no way to interact with them, or you have thin client applications like Citrix. Again, becomes very difficult to do automations on Citrix, process automations. Now comes the word robotic that adds on top of it. Now, what robotic basically does is it's a very non-intrusive way of doing your automations. So it is directly going to replace the humans with not human actions, not replacing the humans. It is going to simulate or emulate all the human actions that have been taken on the screen.
Okay.
And this little robot that has been installed, it's a software robot. This
Okay.
little robot that is installed on your system will exactly identify as to what all little buttons or places that the user has interacted with a particular application and any information that has been entered into it. And the robot will identify all that information and start performing the same actions over and over again in a very seamless and a fast manner. And the advantage that you get there is primarily with respect to the fact that it can run 24/7. So your time dimension goes out of the window, because you usually you have a time dimension of say 8 hours or 9 hours of work shift. But when the RPA robots start working, they can work for 24 hours. So it expands the horizon for you for the time dimension standpoint. So that's a primary difference between what a regular process automation can do for you and what a robotic process automation can do for you as well.
So basically, when, for example, now with our smartphones, right?
Yes.
I go on to like a big basket, for example, and I, browse and I put something into my cart, but I don't really shop it. And then when I go on to my Facebook or my Insta, there is this ad that pops up from Big Basket
Yes, it does.
with that exact same product. Yeah. Is
Yes.
that any, no,
No,
that's
no,
something
no, no.
completely different. Okay.
That's something completely different. That's digital marketing. That's just looking at the cookies that you're looking at, and then
Okay. So that's
that's
simpler. I mean, that's
that's
not
different.
okay.
It's not automation.
Okay.
Automations primarily are used for your operational activities. This is marketing stuff that you're talking about. Where
Okay.
if you shop for shampoo,
Yeah.
where obviously I don't know how to shop for a shampoo because I don't usually use a shampoo
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. But if you
Yeah.
shop for a shampoo, uh, then and if you buy it, even if you browse for it, it will show up on on your social media. That's
Yeah.
how it is, right? But
Yeah.
that's just marketing and target marketing that is there.
Okay.
But it's got nothing to do with your process automation. Process automations are primarily with respect to your
Operational activities. Okay.
operational activities,
Thank
which
you.
are really, really mundane and very SOP driven, rules based driven
Right.
stuff that is there. On those kind of stuff, the robots can do magic for you.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. So, which processes according to you, which processes are currently most prone to be changed, developed, disrupted uh, to do RPA?
Oh, well, from a process standpoint, RPA is industry agnostic and applications agnostic as well. So
Okay.
all kinds of industries, right from banking, BFSI, manufacturing, so to your logistics, to your utilities,
Yeah.
to a lot of other processes, retail, everywhere RPA works, because every process will have your backend operations that is there. But I would still say that in case of if you delve further into the question with respect to the current scenario of
The
the
COVID
pandemic
19.
that we have, the
Mhm.
COVID-19 scenario, I would say the biggest place that it works extremely well is the healthcare industry, because one of the things
Right.
that happens in healthcare is the fact that it is HIPAA compliant, and there are a
Yeah.
lot of compliances that are there that you have to go by with it. The because of this current scenario, the organizations had to have to make some tweaks in the compliance that is
Right.
there and take systems back home and start working with it. This is the largest IT movement that anyone has seen across the humanity that is there,
Yeah.
right? So, in order to make sure that those compliances are not broken, RPA can ensure that compliances can still be adhered to, and your operational activities or you have activities like RCM, that's revenue cycle management stuff and all, right? So all of them can be done from within the domain itself. You don't need to take your systems back home and get those things done. So
Okay.
that's one of the biggest areas that things are working very well.
Okay.
The other very big side automation that's happening is with respect to the IT operations. So now that's a horizontal that we're talking about. That's not a
Okay.
vertical. That's just a support function that is there. But it's a very huge thing because RPA can extremely easily go ahead and automate your stuff when it comes to IT operations, and everything remains in the domain. And you can reduce or or as a matter of fact, you can eliminate the amount of effort that is there to do your operational activities when it comes to IT operations.
Right.
So your dependencies come down, your processes run business as usual, and everything is fine. So from that standpoint, in the current scenario that is there, healthcare and IT operations are two places where it makes a lot of sense for organizations to go with RPA.
Right. So I have a question then. How does RPA at all affect an employee lifecycle management or training and people proficiency?
Absolutely,
It
absolutely. So
does.
last year I was we were doing a workshop at one of the banks, one of the largest US banks that is there, right? I
Yeah.
won't give names, but
Oh, that's yeah.
and we were telling them as to the benefits and the value proposition of what RPA can do, and we were giving them a technical dump of the training with respect to how you can work with it. There were a bunch of people who came up and said, "Hey, do you think this is gonna get us out of the jobs?" I said,
Mm.
"Definitely not. This is not gonna take you out of the jobs. It's actually going to enhance your uh, career by making sure that you participate in something like this." And there's something called a citizen developers that is there when it comes to RPA, right? So you can become a citizen developer, and you can showcase as to what all areas that RPA can improve the current operations that is there. So you have your baseline entitlement and benchmarking when it comes to operations performance. You would in case if your organization is operating at the baseline level, you would always want to get it to the benchmark level of the industry standard that
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
Right? And with the help of this, the RPA, the three primary constraints that comes to ensure that you are moving from your baseline all the way to your benchmarking is your time, cost, and quality. RPA can make sure that it can adjust to all the three categories that is there, and it can
Okay.
move it up the ladder. And also at the same time, as an employee can learn new technologies. It is a very easy platform to work with. The technology in itself, irrespective of the players that are there, the objective is to make sure that it's a very low code to no code platform where simple SMEs like subject matter experts can go ahead and build automations
Oh,
and
okay.
add value to the organization. Rather than doing your mundane tasks day in and day out, you can start bringing more and more value to the organization. So your employee life cycle changes from rather coming to office and doing your regular tasks daily. You can now be much more effective and productive in making sure that your operations are done faster, and you are doing a high contribution from your side as a citizen developer to do that activity.
Okay, now that you've mentioned citizen developer, I have another question. There is currently large numbers of students who are entering the workforce.
Yes.
And digital transformation and robotic process automation is now the trend, is the way, the world is moving right now, or the work world is moving right now. And while it was slow, I think it has radically increased speed, or it has radically accelerated care of the COVID-19 situation.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. And what we thought we would be able to do, over maybe 18-month period or a 12-month period, we are now having to crunch within like maybe 6 months, 10 months, that kind of deal. The timelines have shortened drastically.
Yes.
What would you suggest that these new hires who are ready to join the workforce uh, could upskill in or retool? How do you suggest that they retool so that they are not left behind in this transition, during this transition? Like what are
Absolutely.
a couple of the courses or, reading that they can do to retool themselves?
Uh, Absolutely. So, depending on the kind of students that are coming out, uh, when it comes to digital transformation, it's a very inclusive method of getting everyone on board and making sure that everyone contributes towards it.
Right.
You can call it digital transformation, or you can call it digital reimagination of your
Yeah.
current business processes that is there. But let's keep the reimagination part aside. Let's talk about just pure transformational activities, and from an RPA standpoint itself.
Yes.
From a fresher standpoint, it takes around 5 weeks to understand how a particular platform can operate.
Okay.
Now, the kind of knowledge that you would want to do that, very basic knowledge that is there. You would need to know critical reasoning and logical understanding of how an application can work,
Yep.
and how a flow of process happens. And then you start putting in your loops, and then you start putting in your decision making stuff. You don't need to code anything per se, where I've seen platforms like our platform, like IntelliBot, you don't need to do any amount of coding. You just need to know how a certain flow can be addressed. That's all. As long as your mind and your thinking is very clear, right, you can go ahead and make your automations very easy. It takes, for a fresher, it takes around 5 weeks to understand the complete platform on the whole. From a senior developer standpoint, in case if it's not a fresher, if it's a guy who's already working for a couple of years and now he wants to change tracks,
Yeah.
it just takes around hardly 2 weeks to understand the platform and start contributing for the organization that is there. So there are a lot of, every platform will give their own academy out. Every platform has got its own methodology of how to interact with various tools. Their own platform has got its own individual capabilities. We from IntelliBot also provide you with academies to go on and learn and train yourself with respect to how the platform works. It's very easy. To upskill yourself is very easy, and it is the need of the hour.
Yeah.
It's not about COVID. It's generally about how do you upskill yourself every
Yourself.
6 weeks. Make sure that you're relevant.
Yeah. So basically, it is the initiative you take on your own, is what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, and in understanding critical creative thinking, in understanding problem solving, and
Absolutely.
the way your mind works to actually set the flow out. The more the details, the better or the easier it is. I mean,
In a way, yes, but
yeah.
you can say
I mean, in layman's terms. Yeah. So you mentioned banking is one of those industries, and healthcare is another industry that is actually mature right now to be involved with RPA. Are there?
banking definitely
Yeah,
is. Banking
yeah.
definitely is. Healthcare is slowly coming
Coming in.
on it. Yeah, uh, it, it takes time to get into an industry and make it mature. Healthcare is still at the nascent stage of it, but banking has surely being one of the most matured industries that has taken over, that has accepted RPA as the technology that is going to help them a
Help
lot.
them.
Yeah, that's primarily because of the fact that they operate on a lot of legacy systems, and it becomes
Yeah.
very difficult to interact with them. And from a security standpoint, RPA is extremely non-invasive in nature. It's not going to get into your code or database and stuff. It's only going to work on the application at the presentation layer itself, exactly how a human works. So your roles and permissions that are available for a particular user remains the same when it comes for a robot to work as well. So essentially, you don't need to make much changes with respect to security controls within your organization. And it's a faster way of, you can adopt it very quickly, and you can scale it also very quickly with respect to the bots that is there. It's a very linear scaling activity that happens there.
Yeah.
Right.
So you just answered a couple more questions. It is secure for a company to actually look at robotic process automation.
Absolutely.
It's not invasive, and it keeps the integrity, the security integrity in place.
Absolutely.
And you're also saying very clearly that it does not fast track, what do you call it? Firing people. People's jobs are people's jobs are still safe. So these are two primary questions, I think, right now. You know, will robotic process automation cause loss of jobs, and how secure is robotic process automation? So yeah, it's good to know that it's a good thing, and it's not. It doesn't have a negative impact in terms of people's jobs, especially.
Not at all. Not at
Yeah.
all. I hear this question uh, 5 times a week at
Yeah.
least by people. People are asking me, "Hey, will I lose my job? I said, no, you're not going to lose your job as long as you're ready to upskill yourself and contribute more to your organization. It's an initiative that your organization is taking.
Yeah.
You're lucky that your organization is taking such initiative so that you can contribute and you can make sure that it adds more value to your personal growth from a career
Right.
standpoint and for the organization
Right.
in sync. It is not going to throw people out. A
Okay.
couple of years ago, that was the notion. That was a lot of
Yeah.
that was a lot of CXOs who used to say that, hey, I want to go ahead and have 10% cut in my employees. I said, that's not the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to add a lot of value, because if that's the vision, then the organizations are not going to go far.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
you want to do is you want to retain those employees and give them much more
Leverage, basically.
leverage and give them a much more food for their own thoughts, saying, hey,
Yeah.
you should not do much
Yeah.
more interesting stuff rather than sitting and doing your mundane activity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whoever can do that, good for them.
Yeah. I have one last question for you, and this is again one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So you're in a leadership position in an organization, and Intellibot is in between a startup and a um, established organization right now.
Right. Yes.
We're not at the startup stage, and neither are we at like a fully established stage with Intellibot.
Yes.
What are a couple of the challenges as leadership that you have faced during this COVID-19 pandemic time, and how have you steered your team to overcome them?
From Intellibot, yes, you can call it that. It's not a startup anymore, but we would love to call ourselves as a startup.
Startup, yeah.
Yes, because that's the hunger that will drive you to succeed.
Yeah.
And I would say that every organization should always have, even though if they're not in the startup phase, their mentality should be a startup, so that it's
the
they are
founders.
hunger. Yeah. Right. So from that standpoint, yes, that's the right place we are at. And with respect to COVID-19, the challenges that were there initially was with respect to closing your accounts that were there, right? So, and sometimes what happens was we were working with a couple of big accounts, and those accounts were currently the decision making took a halt for a while, not long
Right.
time, because as soon as this pandemic, this outbreak was there, everyone were doing a lot of IT movement across and getting their teams in place, the collaborations in place. So it takes time, but once the dust settled down, once everyone was settled, things move faster now. Initially, we had challenges with respect to closing of deals and decision-making activities and interacting with people and so on and so forth. But now we've come to terms with whatever things are happening. It's actually doing. I should not say this, but in a way that it's actually has given a lot of impetus, added a lot of fuel to the current growth of the organization.
Yeah.
And we are happy to add a lot of value to the organization, to a lot of other organizations, because the two things. One is that they want to make sure that their business is as usual. They don't want to derail their business, and then try to figure out how to come back once this whole thing gets over. It will get over sooner or later, but they should not be they should not go down the abyss and say, hey, now I don't have any way to come out.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, automations help them making sure that they're still on track and they are going as business as usual for a longer periods of time. But on the other hand as well, they say that from an investment standpoint, it becomes very difficult for organizations to invest because of the economic depression that is currently the whole world is
looming. Yeah.
Yes. But from that standpoint as well, luckily Intellibot's pricing is so convenient for organizations to go and pick it up, because it's very low on investments. And from a strategic standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to just figure out as to how you can do your stuff quickly. Build now for the future is what we tell them, right?
Yeah.
For the tomorrow, you should start building now. And a lot of organizations have understood the value of working towards the future from now onwards. So from an immediate standpoint, everyone is trying to go the automation way. And that is good for organizations like IntelliBot.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Karthik, for taking time and
Pleasure.
explaining to us actually what RPA is, robotic process automation is, and also instilling some confidence in us that jobs are not at stake, and RPA is not going to steal from our systems or organizations, etc. That it is in fact secure to use,
Absolutely.
and it is a way to build a sustainable, stable organization going forward now. That is a
Yes.
direction in which we should be going, actually. Thank you so much for your time. We
My
look
pleasure.
forward to our next conversation with you.